The oldest eagle in the valley used to say something strange. The most dangerous wind is not the one that blows against your wings. Young eagles would ask what he meant. The old eagle always smiled, then pointed toward the horizon. It is the wind that convinces you there is always more time. Most laughed when they heard it, especially a young eagle named Orion. Years later, he would remember those words differently. Orion lived among the highest cliffs in the valley. From his nest, he could see forests stretching beyond the horizon, rivers winding through distant lands, and mountains so far away they seemed painted onto the sky. Every morning the world looked enormous. Every evening it seemed to call his name, and every evening Orion answered the same way, soon. No eagle doubted his potential. He was strong, fast, sharp-eyed. The kind of eagle others expected great things from. No eagle doubted his potential. One day, the older birds often said, "Orion will see more of the world than any of us." Orion believed them. The trouble was, he believed he had plenty of time to become that eagle. Every autumn, travelers returned to the valley. Young birds gathered around them to hear stories of distant lands. Orion never missed those evenings. He loved listening to tales of endless oceans, frozen mountains, ancient forests, golden deserts. The stories stirred something inside him, a hunger, a longing, a desire to see those places himself. But they also gave him something dangerous, the feeling that dreaming about life was almost the same as living it. Almost. One evening, after the storytellers finished speaking, the oldest eagle in the valley landed beside him. His name was Kale. His feathers were silver with age. One wing carried scars from storms survived long ago. He asked Orion, "You enjoy stories?" Orion said, "I do." Kale asked, "Which one was your favorite?" "The Eastern Sea." Orion replied immediately. Kale nodded. "When will you see it?" The question surprised Orion. Orion laughed. "I don't know." Kale studied him for a moment. Then he said quietly, "Be careful." Orion asked, "About what?" "Someday," Kyle replied. The old eagle looked toward the horizon. Someday is a very hungry creature. Before Orion could ask what he meant, Kale spread his wings and disappeared into the darkness. The words lingered, but not for long, because Orion believed there would always be time to think about them later. The following spring, a migration flock arrived. Hundreds of birds filled the sky. Their wings darkened the clouds. One evening, an experienced eagle landed beside Orion. "We're crossing the Eastern Sea." Orion's heart immediately quickened. The Eastern Sea, the place he had dreamed about for years. "You should come," said experienced eagle. For a moment he imagined it, flying above endless blue water, discovering islands no eagle from the valley had ever seen, watching the sunrise over distant horizons. That night he couldn't sleep. He stood at the edge of his nest staring toward the stars. Part of him wanted to leave immediately. Then another thought arrived. "You're not ready. Maybe next year. Maybe after more training. Maybe when conditions were better." The city wasn't going anywhere. There would be another migration, another opportunity. Why rush? By morning he had convinced himself. Waiting wasn't avoidance, it was preparation. So when the flock departed, Orion raised a wing. "Next migration." The lead eagle smiled. "We'll hold you to that." Then they vanished into the horizon. Orion watched until they disappeared completely. For a few moments he felt relieved, then strangely empty. The following summer, several young eagles invited him to explore the northern peaks. Orion almost agreed. Then he noticed dark clouds gathering far away. Better weather would come, better timing, better conditions. The storm never arrived. 3 weeks later, the eagles returned. Their eyes sparkled as they described hidden valleys and frozen waterfalls. Orion listened carefully, laughed at the right moments, asked questions. Yet deep down he knew something. Listening to a story was not the same as living one. The years continued, and opportunities continued arriving. Each one felt important, each one felt exciting, yet each one felt easier to postpone, because tomorrow always seemed available. One winter evening, Kale landed outside Orion's nest. "Come with me," Orion asked. "Where?" Kale said. "You'll see." Curious, Orion followed. The two eagles flew in silence until they reached a cliff overlooking the entire valley. The moon hung low above the mountains. Silver light covered the land below. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Kale pointed toward the distant horizon. Kale asked, "What's beyond those mountains?" Orion answered, "The Eastern Sea." Then Kale asked, "And beyond that?" Orion said, "More lands." Then Kale asked, "And beyond that?" Orion replied, "More lands." Kale again asked, "And beyond those?" Orion smiled. "I don't know." Kale nodded. Then he asked quietly, "Tell me something. You've talked about the Eastern Sea for years, the northern peaks, the desert beyond the canyon, and the storm routes." Orion replied, "Yes." Kale finally looked directly at him. "Which one have you actually done?" Silence. The question struck harder than Orion expected. His mind searched desperately for an answer. Any answer. There wasn't one. For the first time in years, Orion felt embarrassed. Kale's voice softened. "You keep speaking about your future as if you've already lived it." The words hung in the cold night air, whereas in reality, you haven't. The old eagle continued. "Do you know what I think?" "What?" Orion asked. Kale said, "I think you've mistaken intention for action." Orion frowned. "What does that mean?" Kale pointed toward the horizon. "You talk about your dreams so often that they've started feeling real." The truth of those words made Orion uncomfortable, because deep down he knew Kale was right. The old eagle remained silent for a while. Then he spoke again. "If a seed spent its entire life waiting for perfect weather, would it become a tree?" Orion replied, "No, it would remain a seed." Then Kale said, "And that's what frightens me." Orion asked, "What?" Kale looked directly into his eyes. "That one day you'll mistake dreaming about life for living it." Neither eagle spoke after that. Eventually they returned home. The conversation stayed with Orion for a few days, then a few weeks. Then life became busy again. And as always, there would be time later. Spring arrived. Then came devastating news. Kale had died during the winter migration. The valley fell silent. Young eagles gathered to share stories about him. Older eagles mourned the loss of a friend. Orion said nothing. That night he returned to his nest, unable to sleep. The moonlight illuminated a corner of the nest. There lay a feather from the migration flock, a map showing the Eastern Sea, a stone brought from the northern peaks, small reminders of journeys he intended to take. And suddenly, Kale's voice returned. "Which one have you actually done?" The question echoed through his mind, again and again. For the first time, Orion truly saw his life. Not the life he planned to live, the life he had actually lived. Nothing had stopped him. No enemy, no injury, no storm, no tragedy. He had simply kept waiting, waiting to feel ready, waiting for certainty, waiting for perfect timing, waiting for tomorrow. And while he waited, years had quietly disappeared. Kale had been right. He had mistaken intention for action, dreaming for doing, planning for living. For years, he had treated tomorrow like a savings account. Every dream he couldn't fit into today was deposited there. Every adventure, every beginning, every risk. He always believed he could return later and collect them. Now he finally understood. Tomorrow had never been saving anything for him. The realization hit harder than any storm. Because Kale was gone, and with him vanished every lesson Orion planned to learn later. Some opportunities didn't wait. Some doors closed forever. When dawn arrived, Orion walked to the edge of the cliff. The same cliff where he had spent years dreaming, planning, preparing, waiting. The horizon looked exactly the same. Yet something inside him had changed. For years he believed courage meant flying farther. Now he understood. Courage was flying before he felt ready. So he spread his wings and flew east, toward uncertainty, toward the sea, toward life itself. The journey was difficult. Storms battered him, winds pushed him off course, fear traveled beside him. But every challenge carried something wonderful. It was real. Not a dream, not a plan, not a someday. Real. Weeks later, he reached the Eastern Sea. Endless blue water stretched toward the horizon. The waves sparkled beneath the sun. The wind smelled of salt. Standing above that vast ocean, Orion laughed. Not because the sea was extraordinary, though it was, but because he had spent years postponing a moment that had been waiting for him all along. In the years that followed, Orion crossed deserts, explored mountains, survived storms, and discovered wonders beyond imagination. Yet the greatest discovery wasn't found in distant lands. It was found in a simple truth. Life had never been waiting for him in the future. It had been waiting for him in the present, all along. Many of us believe we're protecting our dreams. We tell ourselves we'll begin when we're ready, when life settles down, when conditions improve, when the timing is right. But readiness is a horizon. The closer you get, the farther it moves. And while we're waiting for the perfect moment, life keeps moving, quietly, patiently, without asking permission. Remember Orion, not because he crossed oceans, not because he conquered storms, but because he learned a truth many discovered too late. Life does not wait in tomorrow, it waits in today. So, before this story fades from your mind, ask yourself, what is one dream, one journey, or one conversation you've been postponing? And what would happen if you stopped waiting for the perfect moment? Until our next story, take care of your days, because they quietly become your life.